incher. As you can see, I've cut out my pieces. Gown material and lining. I'm about to iron the gown material, not necessarily the lining. You won't see this, I don't care, but that you will see, so I do care. And then I'm going to start making the markings. I can't find my pencil sharpener, and this has seen better days. But I also have this white eyeliner, so I might use that very, very faintly to, make the little markings that you make off of a pattern. So, I cut everything out first in this lining material for two reasons. The first was to test sizing, to make sure I got the right size pattern. I got a pattern that goes up to a size 14, and I cut it at the size 14, because I can always take away or add to this if need be, but I can't necessarily do that once I start cutting out these pieces. So I think I found the right size. Also, I wanted to see if the pattern fit my idea of how I want it to look, which it doesn't necessarily, because you can see from the gown fastens in the front. So this is the front, this is the back. So it fastens in the front. I don't want that. I want it to fasten in the back. So when I cut it, I noticed that this back piece, which is the piece that goes here in the middle, right, is one piece because you cut it on the fold. And the front was in two pieces because it's supposed to close in the front. So since I know I wanted to close in the back, when I went to cut the fabric out, I knew to cut the front in one piece and cut the back part in two pieces. And then the same thing with the skirt. So the front skirt was the one that had the place where you're supposed to cut the slit in it so that it closes together with the front. And so now I know I'm doing that to the skirt back. So I'm going to have to kind of fudge some of the positioning and marks that I make on the fabric before I start pinning and putting things together. So yeah, that is my process. The other thing is I'm not showing you my mannequin because it looks funky. I don't have the right size mannequin for me. It's very not my proportions. It's not my size. It's not my body shape. It's very hourglass. I am not. I'm more of a spoon or a pear type shape. So I know you can buy mannequins where you can like twist dials and it will kind of move a bit into shapes, but that's a little expensive for my blood. This mannequin was free. I think someone gave it to me, or I bought it off of a job I was at and they didn't need it anymore, so I took it, or I bought it for like super cheap. But what I did buy was this kit, or you take these foam pads and you can put the pads on the mannequin, and then you cover it with a cover that then holds the pads in place. And so you can kind of mimic your body shape a bit. It's not exact still, but it's closer. And I always worry about that more from my top than I do from the bottom. Because again, with the Regency era, the bottom tends to be really flowy. But anything from my rib cage up is what I have to worry about. The thing I always have issues with is sleeves. I am terrible at doing sleeves. I always make them too tight. I have yet to figure out how not to do that. So my sleeve journey will continue. We'll see how it goes with this one. Yeah. And I've kept fabric draped on the mannequin because it sits out in my living room and I don't quite want people coming over and seeing a naked mannequin, so I'm just going to keep it draped like that. And there's the rest of the fabrics. Another thing about the chaos that is me. I don't wash my fabrics ahead of time. And I probably should. Mostly because I don't know who's touched it or where it's been before it gets to me, and the chemicals and yada yada. But everywhere I have lived requires quarters to wash laundry. I don't have my own washer dryer. And especially during the pandemic, it has been very hard to get quarters. So if my building used debit cards or credit cards to use the machines, then I would probably wash this fabric ahead of time, but it doesn't. So I'm trying to figure that out. My first inclination is maybe to just spray it down with things that don't affect the color but have antimicrobial, antibacterial properties on it. My other thought is maybe I just hand wash and let it dry. I don't know. I'm going back and forth on what the best would be with that, because this fabric, even though it's black, is still pretty thin. This time I tried to buy thinner fabric because I knew I'd be wearing this a lot during the summer months, and I didn't want it to be as hot. So here's another reason for the lining, is so you can't see straight through it. But yeah, we'll see. I'm still debating on that. So once I figure that out, I'll either have to wash all of this first and then hang it to dry. And that means I'll have to wait before I can start piecing things together, or I will go ahead and start piecing it together and just worry about spraying it down with something. We'll see. Anyway, that's just a quick update. So after the last video, I decided I probably should wash my fabrics. So thankfully, I have this contraption, which I bought during the pandemic. So I've put the kind of linen in there first. The idea is you put the detergent in there and then you agitate it by doing it like this. And then you let it soak for a little bit, agitate it again, let it soak for a bit, and then you rinse it out. I had initially bought it because towards the early middle-ish days, late 2020 into early 2021, I had run out of quarters, and all of the banks around me didn't have any, because supply chains and everything, and the machines only took quarters, so I had to have another way to wash my laundry. So I did it that way. And then after I wash, I can put it in the bathtub on this drying rack that I have. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. Okay, it's a few hours later. And the update is that there's some of the fabric that I washed, right? And it's dried, and I ironed it. I don't like the way it turned out. I don't like the feel of it. It doesn't feel nice. So I think for the black fabric, instead of washing, I am going to try to steam it and then iron it, and hope that between the steam and the iron's heat, that will kill anything that might be on it. Yeah, because the iron is just, I've ironed these things several times now, and the wrinkles just are not coming out, and I have a real fear of that being the case on the fabric, and I just don't want to go through that. So, yeah. So apparently, the last time I used this little baby steamer of mine, I didn't dry it or clean it out, and something happened there. So I have some baking soda and some vinegar, and I'm gonna try to see if I can dissolve what I'm assuming is hard water stains, and just like hard water dried on there. And yeah, because I don't want to steam my clothes with that. So I'm a mess.